Okay, so capital property. These are 1221 assets. Any asset used for personal purposes or for investment purposes. Some examples of capital assets. Your personal home has to be owned and occupied by the taxpayer. Has to, you know, your primary residence, but that would be considered a capital asset. Timber grown on your home property or investment property. Even if you make only casual sales of the timber, it's considered to be a capital asset. So if you have like some trees on your property and you use it for sell people firewood, that sort of thing. Household furnishings, personal car, coin or stamp collections, gems and jewelry, other types of collections as well. Gold, silver, and other metals. Now, there are certain items that are defined in the code that are specifically not capital assets. So, any asset that's held for sale to customers, including stock in trade, inventory, and other property held mainly for sale to customers in a trade or business. So if it's for sale to customers, then, and customers, not investors, customers, then it's not a capital asset. Property used in a trade or business that's subject to depreciation is not a capital asset. Copyrights for literary, musical, artistic compositions. If it's held by, well, so I'm going to go through a little bit. The art is a little bit weird because it's different. It's treated differently if you have purchased art or if you've created it. Okay, when you create it, it becomes an item of inventory. If you created it and sold it, it would be ordinary income. Now the person who buys it, as long as they're not buying it to then resell it in their normal course of business, they buy it because they like it, they're gonna hang it up, or they buy it as an investment, then that same piece of art that in the creator's hands was ordinary income, now in the purchaser's hands becomes a capital asset. So that exactly same piece of, that exact same asset. Accounts or notes receivable, real property used in the trade or business, that's key. That's a 1231 asset, or ordinary depending upon, well actually I think it's pretty much always a 1231 asset, but if it was held for less than a year, it's treated as ordinary. All these other things are kind of supplies used or consumed by the taxpayer in the ordinary course of a trade or business of the taxpayer. So these are things that would normally show up on the balance sheet, you know, supplies that would show up on your balance sheet. If you sold them, that would not be considered a capital asset. So, is land a capital asset? It depends. Land held for investment is a capital asset. Land used in a trade or business is a 1231 asset. Land held for resale by a real estate developer is inventory. So it just depends on how it's being used. Musical compositions, copyrights, generally not capital assets. However, you can elect to treat them as capital assets if they're sold or exchanged in certain years after 2006. So you can tell there was some changes to the tax law during that time, as long as this is pretty obscure. I don't know why they put that in there actually, because it's so obscure. So again, artistic works, if you created it, they're not capital assets. It's an item of inventory, and if you sell it, it's ordinary income. If, however, you purchased it, then it becomes a capital asset to the purchaser. Example here, we've got Jacques, a world-renowned artist, painted a lovely new work. He then gave the painting to a close friend as a gift. All right. Because the property is a gift, the friend's basis is the same as the basis to Jacques, which is probably going to be close to zero for that basis in the property. Even if the fair market value of that piece of work is $10,000, Because to Jacques, the value is what he put into it. The value of the paint and the canvas, right? It's not a capital asset to the friend and would be treated as ordinary. In this case, because it was a gift, it retains its original, that's right, I forgot this was a gift example. It retains its original character. So in this case, if the friend sells it, then it's gonna be ordinary income. However, if the friend bought it, then it would be a capital asset in that case. All right. We'll go through this and then we'll probably call it a day after that. You guys, your eyes are glazing over. 1231 property. This is business property that has been held for over a year. Okay? Depreciable or non-depreciable. So land would be that non-depreciable. Has to be used in a trade or business, has to be held for more than 1 year. Land purchased or held for and held for investment is a capital asset. I've said that several times. Yeah, that's obscure. Most typical examples of these types of assets: machinery and equipment, used in a business, business buildings, business land, vehicles, all that stuff that we depreciated. We learned how to depreciate in the last chapter. As long as we held it for more than 1 year. If it is disposed of within a year, it is treated as a short-term asset, and therefore the amount received is considered to be ordinary income. That 1 year mark is important, and it's more than 1 year, 1 year or less. That's the cutoff, okay? So let's look at Vlad is the sole proprietor. He purchased a 3-acre lot for $55,000. He then constructed a building for the business on a portion of the land, used the rest of the land for customer parking. The land, building, and pavement are all considered to be 1231 property, as long as he held it for more than 1 year. Right? Let's take a quick look. Let's look at this schedule. So the forms that you're going to use in this chapter, let's see if I can do this without messing up this time.